Good morning, children. Welcome to the English session. Today, we shall be dealing with the poem Childhood by Marcus Nathan. Here, the poet thinks over his lost childhood. He wonders about the moment where he lost the innocence and realized that the world is not what he seemed it to be. He recalls when his thoughts changed and he realized the hypocrisy of the people around him. He finally settled down to the idea that his childhood went to some forgotten place and is hidden in the face of an innocent infant. Let's explore the poem. When did my childhood go? Was it the day I ceased to be 11? Was it the time I realized that hell and heaven could not be found in geography and therefore could not be? Was that the day? Here, the poet wonders about when his childhood came to an end. He asked himself, was it the day he was no longer 11 years old? Was it the day when he realized that hell and heaven existed and yet could not be found in geography or on the map? He realized they are imaginary places that actually do not exist in this world. When did my childhood go? Was it the time I realized that adults were not all they seemed to be? They talked of love and preached of love, but did not act so lovingly. Was that the day? Here, the poet again repeats the same question about when did his childhood go. He wonders about the day when he started seeing the world with a new perception that adults are hypocrites and are not how they seemed to be. The adults who talked of love and preached of love and yet never behaved so lovingly. The poet realizes that probably the loss of faith and trust might have been the major steps behind losing his childhood. When did my childhood go? Was it when I found my mind was really mine, to use whichever way I choose, producing thoughts that were not those of other people but my own and mine alone? Was that the day? As he grew up, the poet realized that his mind was unique, could form its own opinions, and could take its own decisions. He gained a sense of individuality which set him free from the prejudiced opinions of others around him. His own experiences shaped his thoughts now, and he realized that this might have been the time he lost his childhood innocence completely. Where did my childhood go? It went to some forgotten place that's hidden in an infant's face. That's all I know. In the last stanza, the poet changes his question from wondering at what point in time he had lost his childhood. The poet now wonders where it went. The last three lines may be interpreted in two ways. The poet claims that his childhood is nothing more than a long lost memory. He recalls his infancy and believes that his true childhood resides there in that infant's face and that innocence cannot be resurfaced in this lifetime. The poet believes that his childhood has become nothing more than a memory for him, but he has become the reality of some other infant. Innocence is a cyclical process where lost from one person, it travels to another, finding residence there. Thus, till date, adults can recall and seem to almost relive their childhood through an infant in their lives. The summary of the poem. In the poem, the poet discusses the loss of his childhood. The poet talks about that very moment where this innocence was lost. He talks about the various instances when he could have lost his childhood. Furthermore, a realization comes to the poet that the world is not what it seems. He recalls when a change in his thoughts took place. The poet believes that the people around him are hypocrites. It seems that the poet will never be able to trust people around him ever again. This is because he is aware of their hypocrisy. The poet believes that adults preach love, but their actions don't reflect that. The author tells us that his childhood went to some forgotten place. Moreover, the poet explains that his childhood is hidden in the face of an infant who is innocent. The literary devices used in the poem. The first one is refrain. Refrain is a group of phrases which is repeated in the poem. Here, the lines, when did my childhood go? Was that the day? Are repeated in the poem. The next one is alliteration. Alliteration is the repetition of the first consonant sounds. My mind, mer sound is repeated. Whichever way, were sound is repeated. Thoughts that, th sound is repeated. The next one is personification. The poet personifies childhood over here. He thinks that it has left and gone somewhere else. The last one is antithesis. Antithesis is a figure of speech where two opposite words are used together in a sentence in a poem. Hell and heaven. Two opposites are combined together. With that, we have come to the end of our session. Thank you and have a nice day.